Right then. I'm now going to explain to you how I managed to make so many mods so fast. A few tricks. It's a way of repeating what you've done. You're making everything simple, but when it all comes together, it's very complicated. Now, first thing you do is you create an empty mod and save it. That means you just create a mod, save it straight away. Next thing you do, you go down to quests, right here. And then I name all my quests after the mod. This is Dark Lore Grimoire, so my initials are DLG, usually. In this one, I think it's Teg. No, Teg's the name of the mod, but DLG, right? Now, this brings up all my quests. In this one, there's about 50. But we're just going to focus on these ones here. Now, I would say when you're making a quest mod, just plan on making 10 quests for it, right? Just do a straight default 10. So you make 10 quests, right click, new quest, blah, 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 fill it all in. You'll end up with this, right? You don't have to give it a name or anything just yet, right? Just give it an ID, right? And when you've done all 10, go back, go to scripts, give each one a script and name the script roughly after the quest. Then when you've done that, save it off. Now we go back to the first one, properties, and we want to add the next quest. So we add a type. Well, we go to there, we add properties, quest, and then you name the next quest. And then you link it to the next quest there, because the property name has to link to an actual quest, which is why you create the quest first. So we had a property, right? Like if I had property there, right, we want it on quests, so go down to quest, wherever it is. There it is, quest, right? We give it a property name, could be anything, right? And then we type in the name of the quest, right, you want it to link to. Although, to be honest, you can often, there's lazy ways of doing this. You can often use values down here. You can have someone that'll say, click in the window to find the reference, that kind of thing. So it makes some of the things are easier than others. Once you've done that, you'll have 10 quests with 10 scripts and 10 properties or 9 properties pointing to the next quest in the loop. So 1 points to 2, 2 points to 3, 3 points to 4, all empty. At this point, you could be making a mod about anything, right? It says it doesn't have to be a Mages Guild mod or anything. It could be anything. In this particular mod, there's a Mages Guild there. There's a Telvanni type house there. 10 quests for that. And then there's 13 for the Order of the Black Worm. And on top of that, we've got 3 about the Great Collapse of Winterhold. And then we've got training spells, and stuff like that, and alteration spells. Now, the alteration spells in this are quests on their own right. It says they basically allow you to upgrade spells. The best way of describing it is I copied all the existing spells, made 3 versions of them. Normal, slightly more powerful, and slightly more powerful still. And then what I do is it uses the combination of your stat for like destruction or alteration to determine your knowledge, and then how many times you've cast a DLG spell. So if you cast a DLG spell 50 times and your alteration is 25, the combination of them two would unlock the next spell. The next spell would then be given to you for free. You'd literally go bang, 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 bang with the spell, and it would go, oh yeah, what if I did it this way? And suddenly you've learnt a new spell. Some combinations like the Dwemer spells, they're not from the default game. They're ones I've added by this particular mod. And they're a combination of alteration and conjuration. Alteration just helps you unlock them. After it's unlocked, conjuration is a key stat. And then you cast these spells over and over again, and it unlocks more and more Dwemer spells for you. Same with ritual, where you can summon bears and stuff. So these unlock different ways of being a mage. The ritual spells are all nature based. They're kind of like bears, Spriggan, that kind of thing. Frost giants and whatnot. You can have some fun with some of these summons. So these are all in the background, and the training is obviously training. But you can also, if you've got the right combination of soul gems and knowledge of a previous spell, you can learn the next spell. That's where you power up the spell. And if you've got the right combination of soul gems and knowledge, you can create spell books, which you can then sell. at a profit. So you can make a profit making and selling spellbooks in this as well. But there's three guilds in here, plus some quests for the Winterhold thing. The Winterhold, College Winterhold has schools, lots of merchants and all kinds of stuff added as well. But that's by the by. These are all little details. But we'll go back to the initial text. You've got 10 of them here. Now, you've got to create the levels now. That's like this. This is the Solitude Mages Guild. It's not part of the Mages Guild because that's long dead. This is what's left of the Mages Guild in Solitude. It's been running without being an official member of anything as an independent guild. Now, here, each one of these quests need to be executed somehow. Now, the first quest there is executed from a trigger box, which is this little red thing here. This trigger box here has that quest there, that script. If we click on source, we will see, looking down here, that somewhere it should say the name of the quest it runs. Can't see it. Where is it? Yeah, it's messing me about and being awkward now. Unless it's the wrong quest trigger box. Oh, miscellaneous. That's it. It runs the miscellaneous dialogue property. Okay, right. So that'll start the miscellaneous quest. Miscellaneous quest, if we go to that, is it not dialogue miscellaneous? I think it's dialogue miscellaneous because remember it's a property name. The property name doesn't have to be the script name or the quest name. You just have to point it at the correct right thing. In this case, that would point at this DLG dialogue miscellaneous. Now, if we go to properties here, somewhere around here we go. These are the first two quests for the Order of the Black Worm and the Mages Guild. They're both started by walking into that box. And that box is placed right in front of a door. So as soon as you enter that room, that quest triggers. It launches everything for... Basically, these quests remain inactive until you enter either the Order of the Black Worms Guild or the Mages Guild, and then they both start at the same time. And a whole bunch of quests are run, including all the training quests and everything. It all gets launched at that point from there. You can launch a quest that's already run more than once. It doesn't create an error. So you can put these boxes everywhere, and I did. I literally copied that box and placed it in the other guild as well. So that's how it starts. So now we've got the quest starting. Now we design the levels, we fill it with characters, right? Characters that are important to our quest. In this case, we just really want one to start it off. We want, that's the thing, so it should be there. We want him, the Master of Initiates, right? Now the Master of Initiates base, he's the voice that actually the player speaks to. He literally says, you know, do you want to join? Yes, okay, this is what you do. And he's got a dialogue here that goes along with it. Now, we have dialogue to this to support the quest. But again, this doesn't have to link directly to the quest straight away. Like here, start quest Black Worm. Right? That's the point. What did you get? Oh, no, I'm still on the quest, not the... These are all grouped together. These are default quests for training and stuff. I'm actually looking in the wrong place for that. But that's packages. Yeah, I'm just going to go through the quest thing anyway, because I'm a bit rusty on this. But anyway, that character there will appear in the Mages Guild 1 quest, which is just activated as you walk in the door. If you just teleported yourself into them, bypassed that trigger box, he'd have nothing to say. So we go here. Right, we go to dialogue here. Right. Anytime now. Now there's only one here, one branch, and he will say everything from there to 3C1 in one go. Blah 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 all the way down. If you stop the conversation and walked off, he'd go back to the beginning and you have to listen to it all again. But once he gets to the second bit, am I now a member? There's been an important change. At 3C, you weren't a member. At 4, you are. So now, we change this, right? On 3C, the stage is at 5. Right there. Get stage for this particular quest 5. That means if it's at 5, this dialogue runs. If it's at 10, it doesn't. And at 10, it's here. This next one is hidden until it gets set to 10. Second it gets set to 10, all of that dialogue there, from there to there, disappears, and all of this dialogue starts becoming active. I think that's a 10. Yeah. So we use the get stages of a quest to enable and disable dialogue. Actually. Got a bit of an itchy throat. See, it doesn't help that, does it? There's boxes there that are currently disabled because the editor's being a twat, so I can't show you. But there's the starting topic there, set right there, which is up here. So you set it down there, then it runs in that order. But I can't show you that anyway. Maybe if I launch this one, it'll let me show you the start stages. No. Bugs for you. Yeah, how's that? Anyway, the stages are used to control what dialogue appears and how it advances and things like that. But since this is messing me about now, it's hard for me to actually show you. So let's move down to spells. Now the spells, they're basically custom. Basically, it keeps. There we go. Look at that. It's here. I wonder will it show. Let me show you now. Get your fingers crossed. Yay! Right. Stages. Right. Number 5. At that, all the do you want to join dialogue appears. At this, you're a member. Now let's carry on with the membership. You've designed your room, right? You put your characters in it, right? But you haven't made a faction. So we go to here. We want a faction. We want a Mages Guild faction. So there we have a Mages Guild faction. We set up allies and enemies here. Just select that and select what we want there, right? That way they'll react to right when they actually meet these people. The two here are all neutral. So they don't really have any enemies. These won't attack anybody. They're passive mages, right? So the neutral towards the Synod and the neutral towards the Order of the Black Worm, so they won't attack either. We then give that to all the characters, so they're now part of that. We also go to the cell where the Mages Guild is, and actually I need to get the window up, not that. Right, we'll find it again. There. We go to internal data and we assign the Mages Guild faction here. That means anybody in the guild now owns that room. The player who walks in the room doesn't own that room, so if he picks anything up, he's stealing. Right? And once he's joined the guild, that gets added to the player. The script adds that to the player, and suddenly he can pick up and use anything in the room, and he's not going to get accused of stealing in the process. Now, if we go back to the quests, or the quest here, we go to the script. Now, set faction rank 5 is the way I was doing it, but it wasn't working the way I wanted, so I've commented that out with that semicolon at the beginning, and I've changed it to add faction. Right, add the player to a faction, DLG. So right there, when the function DLG join Q, is it MQ yes is run, the player is added to the Mages Guild and stage is set to 10. That's why the dialogue changes. Right, because of this particular faction thing there, and it's DLG join MQ yes 01. Now if we go to player dialogue, we know the point that happens at. Right, it's on this one. If I click on there, right here, Necromancer, no, that's not it. This is where you type in your dialogue, by the way. You'd also do your basic recording. What I'd do is, that's it, let me just try and find what I've got to talk about first. We'll get to that bit in a minute. Now, advanced. Now, these bits here, you get the owning quest, DLG quest 1, join Necromancer, no, right? And then that's it. But somewhere around here, there should be another one. I can find it. That's no. Oh, anyway, that means that bit of the quest probably isn't run. It's probably using the bit at the bottom. It's a leftover. No, it's not a leftover. Well, I can't find that bit anyway. But anyhow, this sets it up with the player in the right guild and everything else. That's what it does. And then this one here, you know, it starts the next quest. So, yeah. Anyhow, dialogue. Now, when you want to dialogue, you have a branch and then you have words spoken in that branch. Now, here's the branch here, right? Just one branch, a simple one, but lots of dialogue. Now, this dialogue here, right? You do it the first one, for instance. We click on that. You'd enter the lines you want to speak. Just type them out. And then if you put emotion, happy or puzzled, that'll affect how the character saying those will look. Then you put, this is important. This is vitally important right here, right? It says, get his ID. That's the name of the NPC that's doing the speaking. So when you get his ID, you're assigning this line to a character. Then you get stage. This stage is when the line is spoken, when it will appear. In this case, this line will only appear on this character whilst the quest is at stage 5. Once it moves on to 10, it will stop appearing. If we get to the next line, we've got to enter the details again. Let's see if I remember right, we do. It's the same stuff again. This continues being true all the way down, although you can actually do it so each line only plays once, but it's simplest to do it this way. Right? Again, you get down to it, it's the same details again, but when you get to 4, it changes. When you get to 4, it still get his ID Master of Initiates, but now the stage is 10. So what's happened is, it'll speak that line, that line, that line, that line, that line, then you go away for a cup of tea and quit out the dialogue. When you come back, the character's back on topic 1 again, you've got to go through it all again. But once you reach 4, it's moved past that. It will never go back because that's stage 10 and that's stage 5. And the stages were set up elsewhere, as you know. And it's used for controlling all of the dialogue and various parts of the quest by using a combination of a get his ID assigned to a character and a stage. What you're doing is you're saying, I want this character to say this whilst the quest is on stage 5. And then when you change it to stage 10, that dialogue disappears and whatever's assigned to that character at stage 10 is replaced it. And you control everything from a script. But first, you've got to go to properties, right? Now, if you select the script, you go to properties, you see the 2 properties here. There's a faction, then there's a quest. There. Now, I'm not dealing specifically in NPCs here. I'm just dealing in quests, in big, broad strokes, you might say, which is quicker and more accurate as well. So if you're actually doing this, here, for instance, you start the quest, it sets display objective 10, but it sets it to 5, stage 5. So this here, very first thing, start quest 01, sets the dialogue to appear on the character I just showed you. Display objective 10 means whatever the display objective is here, on there, is now displayed. So let's have a look, right? What is display objective 10? Join the Solitude Mages Guild. That is what appears on the character, right? Now, if we actually, well, not on the character, it appears in your log. And we go down to here. Once it's at 10, you're added to the faction. It's set subjective 10. So you've joined the thing, successful, well done, right? Then you go to join the mages guild 03, set stage 100, starts quest 2, executes the DLG start quest in quest 2. That's what this is. That's the name, the property. Can be anything. You can name that after your dog if you want. But it has to point at a real script. That's the script attached to the next quest in this case. So I've named this as the quest name with script added to the end. Simple as that, right? So I understand that is for quest 2. So whatever you called your property points at my next quest and then the function in the quest. And this is the function here, right? And there's another function. So that is the name given here in that script. Simple as that. Right? Now that points at that and it runs. But set stage 100, we can see what set stage 100 is by clicking on there. I have joined the Mages Guild. You see? Log entry. Doesn't have to be complicated. You can keep it nice and simple. Players sometimes like complicated, sometimes they don't. I personally like to keep the complicated stuff to a minimum because it's easier to bug fix. Plus I'm a bit dyslexic, so I make a right mess of those things. That's the dialogue. Anyhow, this is it, you see. That's stage 5, that's stage 10. And then it advances. And there's the character assigned to speak the lines. It's mentioned here. So what you set up here, it loads up. I'm going to have to do it that way. Yeah. Whatever you set up there appears here as the speaker. So it's straightforward. These are also quests as well. This Great Collapse is a mini quest in the thing, just a few extra things thrown in as a bonus. Dialogue. I always have one quest to launch everything. In this case, miscellaneous dialogue. And in this case, it's the one executed by my trigger boxes. Now the thing about trigger boxes, if I put that outside in Solitude, there's lots of other Bethesda trigger boxes in Solitude. And I've found in Skyrim that creates a problem. The trigger boxes don't always work when they're inside an official trigger box. But you put that trigger box inside your own cell, what you've created, it works every single time. So instead of putting the trigger boxes outside, put them just inside the door in your own cells and you won't have any problem. But the trigger box has a script added to it, the properties there, all the things here that it needs to know about. And this is a complicated trigger box. Yours doesn't have to be that complicated. But basically, we have to declare all the scripts. So that means all the property names. Then we have to point it at the actual script by selecting it from here. Right? So if you pull down there, you see all the quests. It's only listing the type quests. Whatever type you put integer there, it'd be integers. If you put factions, it lists all factions. But you know, this is quests. These are all the quests that start up when you enter that room. And that trigger box is just copy and pasted into another room for the mod of the Black Worm. So that works twice. You can speed things up that way. But anyhow, 10 quests for a version 1 of any mod is a good first version, you know. So if you do 10 quests for your first quest mod, you're doing quite well. Now, your first quest mod takes me 3 months to make, right, when I've got the time to do it. 3 months. So what we're doing in the 3 months is we're creating all the levels, we're creating the characters, we're creating the spells, anything version 1 needs, as well as the quests. So it's a big version 1 is usually the big release because you're making everything from scratch and setting up the whole system that the rest of your mod's going to use. You release it, you go on holiday, you come back, you go, I'm going to do version 2. You do another 10 quests. Them quests are basically exactly the same as these. They're done as an empty quest, like I mentioned at the beginning, you know, where you create 10 quests, add scripts to it, point at the next one, so you're familiar with the system. Then you populate them in the same way. And you do the same for the next lot. In this case, I've got 13. So between these 3 guilds, the Telvanni one and that, Dark Lore Grimoire has 33 quests in it. And that doesn't include all of these, or the 3 that I've got here that are special, or the one-offs, or the training spells, or anything like that. because these are all quests. These are typical quests that you're familiar with, which got a log entry. These are training quests. These don't give log entries as such. And what these do is they allow you to power up a spell from level 1 to level 2 to level 3, allow you to make spell books, allow you to, sell spell books, that kind of thing. And also, if you get certain combinations of skills like alteration and conjuration, you'll unlock Dwemer spells and start being able to summon Dwemer characters and stuff like that, spiders and whatnot. And the rituals, very similar as well. I mean, the ritual spells here, what I've done with this is I've broken down spellcasting. For instance, you've got destruction. That's the normal one. I've broken that down into frost, fire and lightning. So each one of them is counted individually. You could specialise as a fire mage and you'll get a bonus because you specialise as a fire mage. Right? Whereas with Dwemer, right, you can't specialise because you've got to be in alteration and conjuration. But as a consequence of being in both of them, once you get to a certain level, you'll suddenly find you know how to cast a Dwemer spider. And the whole thing works by you learning the basic spell and casting and casting and casting. When your level is right for that particular school of magic and you cast it enough times, the next spell will be automatically given to you. Automatically. You don't need to buy it. So when you get to level 50... they'll still be good spells because you can upgrade these spells. You can go from level 1 to level 2 to level 3. So you can upgrade the basic spells so they still stay functional, still stay worth it, quite high up into the levels, which is the problem with Skyrim has. Once you get to a certain level, things stop being effective. It says, well, not with DLG. That fixes that. But there's the ritual spells there. They allow you to summon bears, spriggans, natural stuff like frost giants, things you don't normally get in the default game. Here you've got Dwemer spells, like the spiders or the centurions or things like that. You can use to cast them. So there's lots of stuff going on here, but you do it by keeping it simple. I use the DLG in the name at the beginning, DLG / because it's Dark Lore Grimoire, right? If I did another name, it'd be a different initial, right? If I don't do that, I'd be searching through all of these, right? All the default things here for what I wanted to find. But by doing DLG, right, I can automatically jump to my quests. So everything I've done is DLG. If I go to there's the NPCs. I mean, this is how many NPCs I made for this mod. Where does it say? Oh, it doesn't say. It's a lot of mages anyway. Right? I mean, a lot of NPCs. I mean, look at it. Look how many there is. That's how many I made individually. Each one of them has to be made individually. It's a big job. Now, here's another trick for you. When you're actually doing NPCs, don't just do it like this, right? Individually, because that takes forever. And only people that have never made a quest mod would say right-clicking and duplicating is a bad thing. Right-click, duplicate, then rename the duplicate and work on the duplicate, right? That's what you do when you want to create characters quickly. That means if you wanted a barbarian, find a default game barbarian, copy it, and then open it up and edit the copy. First thing you do is remove the script, because you don't want their scripts attached, you want your own. Unless it's the default game scripts that does the job you want it to, in which case you could leave it. Then you go to packages. A lot of these AI packages here might need changing, right? There's none in this, so we're fine. But basically, you change all the packages. You might want to replace the face and, parts and stuff, or rather just alter the way it looks, so it looks a bit unique. Maybe change the equipment here. Once you're done, okay it, save it all off. Right, now, something worth remembering. If you want to make a level list, you've got the opportunity to create your own. You don't have to use the default game ones and have your characters feel exactly like Bethesda ones. What you do is you go down to either leveled item or level thing here. These are my DLG ones. Now, Dwemer wine. See, I made a Dwemer wine one there. We just get that open, right? Now, Dwemer wine there is only one item in it. So there's not much worth for it. I mean, I probably expected to expand on that. I never did. But let's try spell books. Unless that's a different... Is that what level as well? Yeah, it is. Right. Conjuration Spider. I need to find something that's got more in it than that. German maintenance loot list. Here we go. So I created all of these with balls and stuff. If I add that list to something, you have a 10% chance of not getting anything. But the rest of the time, one of these, well, you'd either get 5 of them or 2 of them or whatever else that would appear in the list, right, when you open it. Well, you can do that with anything you like. You put that on your character, then every time your character spawned, it would be spawned with that amount of items or maybe nothing. But if you do that with clothing, right, if you would make clothing random, like this, he could appear dressed as anything. So imagine this, if you want to create, say, a Templar Knight sword and you had armour for Templar Knights, different types of armour, you could create a level list for Templar armour, right? And then you could set it up like you do with these robes. And you could have different types of armour appear on the same character every time you entered that level. I mean, you had to come back 3 or 4 days later for it to change the armour, but basically it'd make your characters a lot more interesting because it looked like they were changing their clothes. You see? And you create the level list and you populate that with only the stuff you want to show up in your characters, and you could suddenly have a Vigilance of Stengar mod like my Demon Hunter one says, where all the loot is very, very specific to the Vigilance of Stengar. It makes the level list look less generic and much better, and it makes your mods look very much better as well. So it's worth creating your own loot lists and using that on your own characters. You add them, like here, look, you see. I mean, some of these are default loots added to my own DLG. Anybody that would edit these in theirs, right, would also edit it in mine, you see. But I've limited this random loot to just soul gems by the looks of it. So nothing but soul gems would get entered to that particular bit there. So if I want a soul gem to appear randomly on a bad guy, I'd just use that list. I'd add that list, and I'd add the list to the character's actual equipment. If I can get it up again. Did I close it? No, yeah, I did. Oh well. Yeah, you can get the characters or the actors' inventory. That's it. I'd drop the level list into the inventory. So it's worth getting the specific level list data right, because if you create your own level list to create a sense that this is a barbarian, this is a Templar, this is a priest, and you only have things that priests would wear or carry in that level list, then that priest will look and sound the part. If you add the default generic things that Bethesda use, it'll look like every other character is in the game. So you can really set the tone of your mod by being very specific about the type of stuff that's going to carry. And that, like I said, is done in inventory right there when it finished loading. Just be careful, right? Sometimes in these editors you get treble A, blah, blah. That's an error, right? There is a treble A item, but it usually means something's defaulted, right? And defaulted to just treble A, and you've got to reselect the item you meant to have. Right? When you see people spawning or mod spawning a character and it crashes out, it's usually because it's got a treble A item inside the inventory and the modder hasn't realised. Right? Which means at some point it spawned an item on his person which it shouldn't have. That's why the crashes happened. That's how I fixed DEFCON, by the way. In my mods, I simply made sure every level list was accurate and didn't have that error. I know it drove DevAKM crazy, but, you know, I could have told him how to fix it easy if he wasn't attacking me constantly. Anyway, yeah, that's how you do your level list stuff. the detail is important, but keep it simple, right? Everything needs to be simple. By simple, name it after your mod. Create your own level list. Think first about what type of character you want to make. Create level lists to support that type of character, and then only put those level lists on your character so he spawns just the weapons you want, just the equipment you want, just, you know, the armor you want. And you're halfway there. Assign that to a quest, and suddenly you've got yourself a priest of Stengar in shining armor, shouting "For Stengar!" charging after everything, right? And it looked very convincing. Anyway, I'm gonna leave it there. I've actually done 3 attempts at this, and one time he didn't pick up the video. But I'll leave it there, right? But there's a lot more to talk about on this, and these are transferable. This information is transferable to various editors that Bethesda have made, so you could use the same knowledge over and over again. And the perks and stuff, again, this has got perks in it as well. There's an awful lot in this mod, the Dark Lore Grimoire mod, that, you know, I could use to explain to you in the future, and I probably will. So, see you next time.